those that I don't know. So you'll do great. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for sharing those encouraging words to open our session. Monisha House, our Director of School Leadership over all of our Montessori schools, connected me with Melissa yesterday, and we definitely understood that you needed support. Melissa was gracious enough to not only say, I need the support from my staff, but any Montessori teacher who needs this support today can join. So today we have a loose agenda because what we're going to do is look at how some Montessori teachers have successfully used Schoology last year and in launching this year's plans. And then the main thing that we're going to do is talk about what you need to get better support. I'm going to do everything from offer you practical tips on how to do some things you share, as well as making sure that we answer your questions today. So with that, I've just got a couple of slides to go into, and then I'm going to switch over to an exemplar. Janine Kiefer, if you are on this call, if you could unmute and introduce yourself, I will be spotlighting some of your work. If not, that's okay. I know that that was short notice.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Janine. If you could introduce yourself, that would be great.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Janine Kiefer. I'm a Montessori teacher at North Avondale Montessori. I teach 9 to 12-year-olds, and Rosemary has helped me become very proficient at this. Well, I don't know, very proficient, but I'm better. Thank you, Rosemary.
Very, very proficient. Janine is going to be one of the, she's going to be the first exemplar we show today for Montessori teachers making this work. There's two other lower primary Montessori teachers that I had permission to show their last year's materials. So I've got those pulled over as well. We're going to look at those. For those of you who I have not had the pleasure to meet yet, I hope that over this year you consider me your tech friend. I am assigned to Monisha House's cluster of schools, and I will be working with the Montessori schools to make digital learning a successful endeavor for you. As Melissa said, we've got this, but the learning curve is so steep, and guys, it's steep for me too. I'm pretty much a whiz with the tech tools, but how we make this work and connect with our families and students in a remote world was a challenge we had last spring that was just completely overwhelming. This year we've had more time to prepare, and so today is really about supporting you. I do come to you as a 10-year self-contained kindergarten, first, second, and third grade teacher with the most years in third grade, but the most recent years in first grade here in Cincinnati Public Schools. I have my master's in K-12 Tech Enhanced Learning and Reading, and we are going to be looking at some things today, wit and wisdom in Schoology, and some of our examples, with Janine being the kickoff to that example. So I'm going to switch screens here and begin presenting this screen. All right. So Janine Kiefer last year from week 1 of remote learning reached out and wanted to learn as much as she could to support her students, like I'm sure so many of you did. She's become an example for me when I show other teachers who don't teach Montessori how we can use our homeroom as a hub, how we can co-administer it with our team, and then we can push our students out to their other content-specific courses. So I'm actually showing you Janine's current homeroom community. Now I'd like to show you some settings in the background. She has actually connected already with her team teacher, and she's got a co-administrator on there. Janine, do you want to unmute and share a little bit about why you guys are co-administering this, or do you want me just to explain it to them? You are welcome to unmute if you like. All right, to not put Janine on the spot, I let her know I'd be sharing her resources, but I don't want to put her on the spot. One thing we can do, especially in our Montessori communities where everything is so connected, including our teams, is we can link up and share a place where all of our students can access their learning in one location. So whether we're adding our paraprofessional or a team teacher, we can share our homeroom so that our materials are in one place for our students and they have a launch point. Janine started off with a welcome letter to her families. And you can see that she added some images to that, typed up a letter to them, explained how they're going to use Google Meet. And so she's got lots of details in here. This was addressed to families, so this is going to parents. That welcome letter is attached right here in her homeroom. She did rename her section. They call it Community 2217. So instead of room or class number, it's Community 2217. I love this about the Montessori environment. And so then parents will have everything they need to know in one folder. Now I'm going to go back into her course from last year in remote learning, just to show you an example of how she attached everything. It's unpublished now, but she attached folders that linked to her students in her homeroom to their content. And one thing we talked about this year was having that content go into the right folders. So in the 4th grade folder, oh, it's empty. Sorry. Looks like she moved them into past assignments, sorry. So in the past assignments folder for 4th graders, she had them week by week. You can organize it any way that makes sense for you. But you can see they're doing an area and perimeter, a math assignment, a social studies assignment, and so forth. Now, when you have those in your homeroom, if they're in your homeroom, the grade's not going to report to PowerSchool. One thing Janine is going to do this year is put those assignments in the right course, but she's got her homeroom as an anchor for them to launch to. So she's going to be helping her students navigate that. If you teach self-contained Montessori and you teach math, social studies, science, English language arts, then it's really important that you establish a place that students can go to launch into all of their activities. You can also build directly in your courses themselves. You don't have to do this homeroom hub. It's just one idea. You can build your ELA materials in the ELA course, the math in the math course, and then you can just teach and support your students and families at home with how to navigate. Now, your students don't have nearly as many courses as you. There's 12 tiles, and so they should be able to navigate where they want to go. But that's one example of looking at how a Montessori teacher made this work last year, how she's starting to make it work this year. And now I do want to share a preschool teacher, preschool and kindergarten, Amy Hawkins. She linked a lot of her content right in the updates. So before you feel like you have to learn how to use every tool in Schoology, just know that you can post updates to your families to begin and link them right with great activities. She actually did continue communicating through the summer, so I'm going to scroll back a bit to some of her content from earlier in the year. But hers are all updates. Hi, if you could please mute. Thank you. Hers are posted as, okay, I can go in and mute it. If you guys could just stay muted, that would be helpful. Thank you. All right. Hers are all posted, and I shouldn't say all, but hers are posted as updates. And you'll notice that she added images and she put the links to activities right there. So that's another great resource that you can use. You don't have to build everything out in materials right away. You might be building wit and wisdom lessons or working on your social studies lessons. You can just post updates to initially get people connected. And she did this using my tip video, Updates That Pop. I can share that with you today. So this is Updates That Pop, adding an image and then linking out to content. So you'll notice that things are repeated. They're repeated for the teacher, but the students, her kindergarten homeroom and her preschool homeroom, she linked those together. So she sees them twice, but her kindergarten families see the update once.
I sent it this morning. Should be able to pop in.
Hey, Adam, I just muted you once already. If you could stay muted, please. Thank you. All right. So it appears twice for the teacher when they are linked, but that's another option that you have. Also, you can add polls. So you can do quite a few interactive things right in Schoology in your updates. Another teacher that I want to share with you is from Dater Montessori, and it's Juanita Johnson. She did a combination of updates to her families giving them instructions, and she used the Schoology video creation to connect with her students. Actually, Amy did this as well, and to share things like the butterfly life cycle while they were learning remote. And then in her materials, she organized her materials and even added discussion boards of options and media albums. So those are 3 different examples. Janine teaches 9 to 12s. So she teaches the older students. Both Amy and Juanita teach preschool and kindergarten. And so we looked at some of the examples or exemplars, and I have some tips that we can get into. But this is the point where I want you to drive this in the way that your learners drive their own learning experiences in the classroom. I want to open it up. First, I'm going to give you some topics we could cover. And I'm going to pull my slide deck over, sorry. Just realized it's on the other screen. All right. So what I did was show you some exemplars, some, oops, I misspelled it. I showed you some exemplars in a 9 to 12 class, as well as a preschool kindergarten class. We looked at those examples. We can also look at things within Schoology that could help you out, like using your analytics to see the last time your students were logged in and how long they were working. We can look at ways to connect each of your child's families so that you can make sure that you have connected families in your class. And then we will close with an exit ticket. So I'm actually going to come right back into the chat, and I'm going to start looking for some questions. Jennifer, yes, I recorded this. So if you have to hop out, absolutely. Melissa and I just planned this yesterday, so we know it was short notice. If you can't stay, I'll have the recording in your Montessori group. All right, I like the hellos. The meeting nickname or code, so you can join it on your phone. Let me put that in for you. Sorry about that. I didn't see that earlier. All right. I love all the love going out to Melissa. This was great of her to get this together for you guys today. Google Slides or Docs and then adding it as a page. Erica, I think I saw you in this morning in a very large session with a lot of information. I don't know for sure what they'll be building in, but if they do build them in Google Slides or a page, I can show you how to do that. I'm assuming she is referring to Janine, so if Janine's on the line, you could unmute Janine and answer that question. Let's see. I can't. What's the question? So she wants to know if you use Google Slides or Docs, or do you just add it into Schoology as a page?
Last year I did it as a page in Schoology, but I have learned how to do Google Slides now.
Okay, great. And yes, I can show that. The next one I saw was, can I please explain or clarify that, the pieces of information? Yes, I can go into some of those. In an hour, we can't cover all of it, but I just wanted to find out what you guys want to see most. For when you link your assignments into specific courses instead of the homeroom, automatically syncs. So it will not automatically sync, but that one I'm going to give you the resource to now. If you want to set up your gradebook, and that is actually something Janine made a goal for this year to start doing, right at the bottom of this document that I'm going to share the link to you, there is, last year we actually had people who did not want grades to go to PowerSchool. So there are instructions for that first. Some people want to import their own grades manually into PowerSchool. They don't necessarily want every activity graded, so there's instructions for that. But then if you do want to connect your gradebook, the next couple of links show you all the information you need in doing that. You will have to manually sync your Schoology course to your gradebook one time at the start of the school year. I'm going to come back to 1141 in a moment. So this is the Schoology all-in-one guide. You will have to go through that process once manually at the start of the year. And then once it's synced, then yes, it will send the grades over when you have an assignment in Schoology that you grade. Okay, I will go back to some of Janine's examples specifically. I want to make sure I read through all your questions. If or when you link and add assignments to specific courses, oh, that's the one I just answered, sorry. Oh, thanks, Erica. Yes, if you add assignments to a course and it gets graded, it will sync to PowerSchool's grade if you connect the gradebook. So you do have to sync it to make it go to the right category and the right area. That might be one that we go ahead and answer here if I don't get another question. Need to know how to do Schoology conferencing so we can do breakout rooms. Okay, there are not breakout rooms in Schoology conferencing, but if you were holding a breakout session, the teacher would need to be present, teacher or paraprofessional. You'll need to talk to your principal about how they want you to manage the smaller groups. But if you're doing a smaller session, yes, you could do that in Schoology conferencing, or you could create a Google Meet nickname. All right, let's see. Add paras to your courses and tips to assign work as an external tool. Okay, so right now I want to answer some of the questions I saw in their order. So I'll come back to 11:47. I'm going to show about Schoology conferencing. But the 11:14 I wanted to get. 1 second. 41, okay. When you add assignments to a specific course and syncing the gradebook. So again, those instructions are right here. Real quick, I'm going to show the steps you do. Please don't try to follow along right now. I think that would cause you frustration, but just real quick, I'm going to show you the steps you would do. And so Janine has been kind enough to allow me to come into her course as an administrator so that I can show some of these things. So to set up your gradebook, excuse me, we go first to grade setup. In here, you do need to add your categories. So you would go into PowerSchool and match up, and all the categories that you have in PowerSchool, you want here. In the guide, there's advanced instructions if you do weighting. In lower elementary, I never saw a need for weighting my grades. I did points-based, but if you do want to weight, that gets a little bit more, there's a few more steps, but if you want to do that, just so you're aware, the option is there. But you will make your grading categories match PowerSchool. And then after you add your grading categories, which I know last year, some teachers wanted a category called remote learning, you could create that. It would just need to be created in PowerSchool and in Schoology. I'm going to put one sample category in here. Janine, we can delete this later if needed, but you don't have to change anything. It can just be points. It defaults to that. If you wanted to change it, you can. I would just leave it on points. And now that you have a category, now, of course, you're going to set up all your categories in PowerSchool. So you'll add your categories, and then the categories are done. If you teach multiple sections, you can always copy those settings over to your other courses. So create your categories. You can copy them to another section if you want. And then we just have to go down to the PowerSchool icon, click it. It will load eventually. You would configure your mapping your categories over to PowerSchool. So this one, attendance, I would need a section called attendance. So remember when I showed you we were creating them? I'll just go to the one that says homework because I created that. We are saying that in Schoology, the homework category needs to go to the homework section in the gradebook. And so you can see these categories that Janine has added in the past. Right, you would hit save changes and then grades would start to sync. Don't worry if you didn't catch that. We have the training guides and supports on how to do that. And if there's a demand for it, I can also make a quick video for that, probably by the end of the week. All right, that was syncing your gradebook in Schoology to PowerSchool so that when you put an item in Schoology, the grade will automatically go. Now, do bear in mind, this is homeroom. Homeroom doesn't report a grade in PowerSchool, so you would need to do that in one of your core subject areas like ELA, science, social studies, math. I just use hers as an example. Okay, the other question was about conferences, and then paraprofessionals. So that's the order of what I'm answering in. Conferences and paraprofessionals. And then I will hop back in the chat momentarily. All right. Oh, I'm in the wrong area. Okay, in your course, on the far left below your icon, you scroll down, you can find Schoology Conferences. Now, you can use Schoology Conferences or you can use a Google Meet. If you use a Google Meet, make sure you create it with a nickname. Don't schedule a code and share that, use a nickname. There's other materials on that, but we're looking at the Schoology Conferences. You would create a new conference, give it a name, indicate the start time and date. So I'll just put today's date and I'll say that we are starting at noon. You can put an end time if you want to make sure that students and families understand when that conference will be over. I won't add that for now, but you can add that if you wanted to. And then you just hit create. Now, the nice thing about that is conferences are sitting here scheduled, but until the teacher launches the conference, it won't start. So this can be a helpful button for teachers to use the internal conferences. Just so you are aware though, once you get into the conference, if you were to record it, it will show up on your completed. However, it will only show for 7 days, then it automatically deletes. Our Google Meet recording is going to go away on September 30th. Okay, I don't know why I keep getting those messages. I'm going to have to fix that. I must have changed a setting on my computer. Sorry. So recorded conferences is going to go away on Google Meet. So this is going to be your best bet if you want to record a conference. But even then, if they don't view it within 7 days, it will delete. So that is Schoology Conferences. The next question was about adding your paraprofessionals. Again, over to the left, you can go to members. And all you need to do is add members. It will default to your building and you can type in your paraprofessional's name. Now, if you want them to stay in the course, if you don't want them to drop off the course, you will have to make them an administrator. So the gear to the right of their name, you make them an admin. I mean, you wouldn't do this with student, but you make them an admin. Now, if you don't make them an admin, like if you don't want to, that's also an option. I worked with a Montessori teacher who wanted the paraprofessional to have the view the students do. What you can do is give your para your access code to your course, and they can just join it in the morning. Overnight, the PowerSchool sync will drop them off, but they would just join the course whenever they need to go in and work with students. So that's another option. So you can add your paraprofessionals to your members, or you can give them the course code and then they can see everything the way the students see it. All right. Tips on how to assign tools. So I'm sorry, I jumped back to the questions.
Can I ask a question about conferencing?
Sure.
Okay, I just thought you were switching topics, so I just wanted to squeeze this in there, sorry. If we put our para on as an admin, could they schedule and host a conference or could they start and host a conference that was scheduled by the teacher?
So an administrator of the course, a co-administrator, should be able to do all of that. Unfortunately, since I don't get to work with a para, I would test that. You could even test it today, though, because you don't actually have to have students come in a conference to have it launched. So that conference where I created it, I would go ahead and click on Start Conference, or I would create it and maybe have my para try to start it. But a co-administrator should be able to do all those functions. I would test it once first, though.
Thank you.
New territory. You are most welcome. All right. Tips on how to assign external tools like Ready Classroom and get it synced to your PowerSchool gradebook. You would need to refer to your Ready Classroom training materials. I'm sorry, but I do not work on the Math Ready Classroom. We do have Dr. Kimberly McLean, who works directly with Dawn Williams, and she's focused on our math content. I do know that there were lots of Ready Math PD offerings recently, but I'm not familiar with Ready Math and Schoology at this time. Sorry, I can't help you with that specific item. Okay, so Schoology Conferencing, I have a short video on that I can also send you that shows you how to launch it. It doesn't show it with co-administrators though, and I know that in Montessori that's really important. So any co-admin should be able to join or launch a conference or even create a conference. When you give them administrative rights, they are an administrator. So they should be able to join or launch a conference, but I would test it out with your para today or tomorrow if you can. Okay, 6 to 9 teachers have created ELA, science, social studies. Oh, Erica. Wow. You know what? I was just recently told that I needed to connect with you because of the amazing things that you have done with digital learning. And so, Erica, thank you so much. For those of you who maybe didn't see it in the chat, Erica is saying that she has 6 to 9 teachers, just to all 6 to 9 teachers. She has created ELA, science, and social studies curriculum that takes all this into consideration with 3 grade levels. Erica, I'm going to continue to scroll through the questions, but if you're on the line and you don't mind, unmuting, if you want to give me permission to share your course, I would be happy to show that to everybody. Just unmute and let me know if that's okay.
Okay, am I unplugged? Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
So I actually took all the training for Wit and Wisdom last year in Foundations and found it really hard to get all of those lessons in addition to science and social studies. So I began to take the themes of Wit and Wisdom and then extend. Last year I did the 3rd grade themes down into 1st and 2nd grade. Then I chose social studies topics and standards from the state and science standards from the state. I put those together with Montessori lessons. I also looked at all the standards for ELA for the Wit and Wisdom, and I aligned the Montessori lessons that go with this. I can, Rosemary, I'd be happy. I can bring up the document and show people what it looks like, but that may take too much time. I don't want to do it if it takes too much time. I am creating a list of people who have already emailed me that I'll just share the document with.
You know, may I take the opportunity to make sure, because this was in the slide deck, I haven't gotten to it yet. Erica, you sound like just a wealth of knowledge who is ready to share. And so that is a great thing for you to post. Are you already in the, yep, you're already in this group. I'm so glad you're in here. Folks, you might not be aware of this, but if you click on Erica's name in Schoology, you can select this little button up here that says connect. Now I have sent a connection request to Erica, and if we connect, we can directly share resources in Schoology. I'll do you one better though. There's a really great thing about groups. Let me go back to our Montessori group. Resources, anything Erica has created and shared, we don't have shared resources yet. We just made this group this week for you, and we're going to put things in here from you. So if you have a great resource, post it in the updates and share it with us. Connect with one another if you want to be able to like work on editing it together. But if you post here, here's my resource, we will add that to the shared resource collection so that just like teachers can go into another group, such as ELA headquarters, or here I'll go into preschool. Just like teachers can go into resources in their other groups and pull in collections and add them to their course, we have that space for you. So just so you know, that is there. So Erica, I want to save you emails. If everybody could just, or excuse me, Erica, if you could just post an update in the Montessori group and say, here's my resources. People can comment on that if they want them or ask questions about them. And then I can make sure they get into the group collection. How does that sound?
Yeah, I've already done it.
Awesome.
And just so everybody knows, I pulled the books from a Clever link, which is called Epic. So all the 1st grade books are attainable on Epic in your Clever, and all of the 3rd grade books are obtainable through Epic, where if you have students on IEPs, they can use Google Read and Write to read it to them. You can create quizzes in Epic. So all of the text are either the Wit and Wisdom ones, which you can access through InSync or through the UC lessons, or it's the additional stories for 1st and 3rd grade through Epic.
Okay. Thank you so much, Erica, for sharing this out on the group. I will make sure this is put into the resources for anybody who wants to pull it. But since it's a PDF, you can just use it as it is. Erica, is there anything you'd like to share in your courses? I had pulled up your profile. I never share anybody's profile, though, without checking. Is there something in here you want to show how it looks in Schoology? Or should I go to the next question?
Okay, so I have taken 4 of your courses on YouTube, like on the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And what my goal is to be able to do next is create the buttons and the page breaks.
Okay.
But I'm worried about doing it because I feel like right now, if I put it up there, things will be published and I'll confuse my parents. So I'm just I'm playing with those ideas. I've created them in Google Slides.
Let's address that issue to begin. You can actually build right here. And don't worry, Janine, this won't show because this is a sample build. And the first thing Montessori teachers you can do if you're worried about parents is just the little green dot at the bottom means it's on and live. Just unpublish it, and then only you and your co-administrator can see it. Then you can do anything you want, and no one sees it. So if I hit create, like if I had pictures and buttons and all of those awesome things, I could have that sitting there. But do you see it's grayed out and unpublished? Only myself and my co-admin. So go ahead, Erica, and start building anything that you want. And I'll delete that, Janine. All right. I do like a visually, Erica, I just want to let you know, one thing I like is that I see that you added your course icons. That's going to help your students know where to go.
That was from your class, by the way, online. Sorry,
Right.
I'm able to pause you. So when I pause you, I'm able to go in and immediately do it on my Schoology.
Yep.
And that for me is so helpful because sometimes when we do these tech things, we're not actually doing them.
Mhm.
So it's just very helpful to be able to pause you and then go do it in my Schoology. So I spent a night doing that.
That's actually why I record everything. And we had a heavy Wit and Wisdom agenda today where we were going to look at how to do something and then take 10 minutes to practice. And honestly, in these live virtual settings, it's not as conducive. So that's why I do record everything. So I'm glad you found that helpful. If there's anything that you guys need support with video-wise, there's a good chance I already have it. And if not, all of my tidbits are made upon request. I can only usually do one every day or two. It takes just a little bit of time to create them, but if there's something you need to learn how to do, I can create a video for that to support you. Let me hop back to the questions to make sure I'm not skipping anything. Erica, thank you so much. Everybody, if you are not in our group, which now I've totally lost track of where my group is, the Montessori group, make sure you join now. I'm going to give you the join code just in case you're not in yet. I know you have been inundated with information. So I'm going to add that here so that you can join. And then that Montessori group, guys, it's an awesome place for you to say, hey, everyone, I'm working on this. Can anybody help? Or does anybody have a resource for this? And what I love about CPS teachers is when they start answering one another's questions, that is not an administrator, right? That is everyone. All teach, all learn. This group is a place for us all to collaborate. All right. So if you post a video lesson, is there a way to see who's viewed the video? I want to show you that topic on that slide, analytics for that. Using your course analytics is really a game changer. So let me go into a course where I have at least a sample student. Now this will occur in your live course where you have Oh my, I went back instead of forward. All right, in your course where you have students, right under the members tab, which is where I showed you how, right under the members tab, which is where I showed you how to add your paras or co-administrators, your team, there's a button called analytics. Now, what I love about this is it shows me the last time they logged into Schoology, the last time they accessed my course materials, and how long they spent in it. But you can drill in further. You can also go to a specific assignment and see, like, I've posted a lot of stuff that doesn't actually get used, but you can see what the assignment is, how many people viewed it over a course of time, so you can see historical data. Or you can go in by student, and you can see when they were last logged in, how long they were in, how long they were in your course. There is course overall data as well. I don't want to take time to get into the whole thing, but like if no one's viewed your video page, you'll see that here. This is a demonstration course, so it would work better with live users in it. So again, by user, by the assignment type, so I could assign a video on a page and I'd be able to see how many students viewed it, or by discussions. There's even a way to download their discussion transcripts for the year. That's in a more advanced session. And then also too, for those of you who are saying, well, I'm making a video, I'm putting a link, it's not my video. If you put a link in there, you can see how many times it was clicked on. Again, it's a demonstration course, so nobody's clicking on my materials, but you can see all the links I posted and when people click, or how many clicks they got. So it gets better than that. In addition to analytics, you can add completion rules. And when you add a completion rule, you will see the percentage of completion they have on it. Now, if I had a live one with the actual assignments, you could even see if they if they viewed it, what their percentage of completion is. Like, let's say you have 5 activities in a row and they've completed 3, you'll see what they've completed and you'll see in progress for the rest. That is all on my YouTube channel video, analytics and completion rules. Sarah, just let me know which link you need and I'll send it. External tools as well. Okay, Corey, I will add that as a follow-up training topic. I have been focused on Wit and Wisdom this year, and that's not an external tool. But if Ready Math does offer external tools, then we need to offer that as well. Would I use conference during office hours? I would. I like the features of Schoology Conferences because you can share a whiteboard. We haven't offered as much training on that yet, but because Google Meet recording is going to go away and we can record in Schoology Conferences, I would probably get myself more familiar with Schoology Conferences. So I would use that during office hours. For mine, though, I am still using Google Meet. You don't add your students to the conference, you just direct them to the conference tab. So they click on the conference and they'll see it sitting there. When it's in progress, it has a green button that says in progress, and so they can just join it. When it's over, it goes into that completed tab. Now, please note that recordings can take a little while to render as well. So Amy from, I think it was Gator, I don't remember which school it was, I'm sorry. But Amy's example, who had all of these updates posted, I believe she did Schoology Conferences, unless I'm mixing her up. Let's see, back to your questions. If the pair is still on another building's list, that is an HR issue. However, for you Montessori teachers, if you need to get them on there, if you could just send me a Google chat and let me know the name, the first and last name of your paraprofessional and what building they're listed on, I could add them for you. Just understand it might take me a day or two to turn that around. I think our help desk might be able to help with that, but I don't want to speak for them, and they are really slammed right now. But the main issue there, if your pair is still listed on another building, is that HR needs to get their file corrected, and then it will automatically be on the right building. Yes, Paula, if you made your pair an admin, they could set up a conference and host the conference. Yes, I would test it though, because I have not worked with a pair yet who did conferences. So that's what I was saying. I would test it today or tomorrow. But by how Schoology works, any co-administrator can launch a conference. You will not be able to change. I'm sorry, Antria, Ms. Goss, you won't be able to change a Google Meet with the link. You would just need to delete that and you'll launch it with your own nickname. So you'll want to make sure you follow the Google Meet instructions for that. But I would just cancel that. I would delete that link. And then when you do a Google Meet with a nickname, you just launch Google Meetings and you type in your nickname. So actually, whenever I do mine for like quickly joining somebody with office hours, I just make mine my name as one word. There's not another Rosemary Jane in the district as one word. So you want to do something that's unique to you, like don't just call it reading class or something like that. That would be used all over the district. Make it specific to you. And when you hit continue and it launches that meeting, then you own that. So you will launch with nicknames live. You don't schedule those out. You can post an event. You can either put it on your calendar in Schoology, or you can put it in your updates and announcements and tell them how to join. But you don't schedule a nickname. If your para's not in members, well, okay, it says find para's name in members. Let me clarify that. So I wasn't saying your para's name is in your members. I'm saying you would add your para in members. And let me go back to my practice course for that. I don't want to show other people's courses. So to add my para, I go to members, and then I have to click on the button add members right there. It will default to your school name. So if your para is not listed at your school, like let's pretend for a minute that Ashley Badgett, she's my teammate for Learning Technologies, but her name doesn't come up, maybe because she's associated with another school. Then that's that HR issue, or you can reach out to me with the Google chat. Please do let me know their first and last name and the school they are associated with. They should be able to look that up themselves. But that's an HR issue that needs to be cleaned up. So I can add her there. So when you said she doesn't appear in members, you're right. She doesn't appear, you have to add her. All right. How can two homerooms be merged into one? A sandbox is just a place to practice in, so you can request a sandbox. If your courses have already generated, you really don't need it. But two homerooms merged into one, that is a great question that I'd love to answer, especially for your Montessori classrooms, because homeroom is a common name. You don't ever change the name of a course, but because you have the common name, if you add each other as co-admins, you can link them together as one. So I'm going to actually show that in my archived section. Just keeping an eye on the time.
Mary Jane, Rosemary, sorry.
Rosemary, that's okay.
Go ahead and link mine and Lauren's.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thank you. And then it's funny, I always told Janine, like, oh, if you let me demonstrate this in your course, then it'll be done for you. So when I do need a video topic, it's nice to be able to do this in a live course. Thanks, Janine. So I'm going to go to members. And then Lauren is who you want to link to, right?
Correct.
Awesome. So what I'm going to need to do is, for demonstration purposes, I have to jump into Lauren's too. Whoops, I opened yours. I have to jump into Lauren's too. Lauren, if you want me removed later, be happy to remove myself.
You can stay on there. We're all good.
Okay. All right, cool. So now that I'm an admin in both Lauren's and Janine's, okay, I can go to courses, my courses, and I'm going to go down to homeroom. Ignore my number of courses. It's a lot. It's because I keep joining people's courses. All right. So you can see you would just have your one homeroom. And now that Lauren added Janine and Janine added Lauren, Janine made Lauren an admin and Lauren made Janine an admin. So you have to do that for one another. Now, I have seen this done with teams up to 6. Like I've seen people do it across grade levels. So I think the limit is 10, but you can join as many homerooms together as you want to, I believe up to 10. So now that we are all co-admins, it's as simple as this. One member of the team just needs to go in. Lauren and Janine, before I do this, did one of you build content that the other one doesn't have yet?
No.
Okay, perfect.
We both have the same thing.
Perfect. You guys are a lockstep team, huh?
We really are.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let me go back to your homeroom. Sorry. All right. So I've got my North Avondale Montessori. Whoops, did I go into a different tab? Let me close out a few of these because I think I'm confusing myself. Okay, yeah, there's their 2 homerooms that I joined. All right. So then Janine can just go up here to the gear and click on link existing section. And then it's grayed out. So it looks like we've got a Power School error on there. When that happens, we do need to make sure that we have the same admins. So let me open, sorry. Double check your roster. If your front office accidentally put one student in both, if there's duplicate enrollments, it will not work. Or if the co-admins are not the same. So I'm going to double check that we are all co-admins.
If it doesn't work right now, that's cool, but I thought it'd be
You know
cool.
what though, this is a good error. When I was teaching K-6 tech, there was actually quite a few. See this vacancy? That's the problem. So you cannot have, you must have the same admins in both courses to link them. Now a vacancy, we know we can get rid of. As long as there's one administrator on there who's correct, we can delete a vacancy, unenroll.
Yeah, that was a mistake that we did when we were trying to figure it out.
Understood. So that was actually a great little problem to run into. It's actually better when you are showing somebody how to do something if we run into a problem, because it's more authentic, like having a duplicate enrollment of a child or that there's not matching administrators. Those are both things that others could run into. So now these should link. So only one of you would need to do this, not both of you. Link existing section. Actually, make sure you communicate and don't both do it at the same time. Because Schoology is not like Google. Like the changes are taking place on my screen, and when I hit save, whatever somebody else is working on, like we need to communicate when we're sharing these. But right now you can see it's allowing me to select it. I hit next. Now it does force you to download a backup of the gradebook. It's just a precautionary in case for some reason you had grades in there. When you click, I just click standard CSV. Don't worry, you won't even need this. It just downloaded an empty file of the gradebook. But if you had grades in there, you would appreciate that because you've got a backup. Now, so you want to link before you add any grades. So we link our sections. And now, let me refresh. You will see that it is now one homeroom of Community 2216 and 2217. You guys will have to change your custom image because you have to have one. So I would edit that and make it Community 2216 and 17 because you do share the icon and the materials. Now, your members though still stay separate, so you can just do your drop down to go between them. But you will need a common image. And Janine, your profile image, that was wonderful, but having that on your profile is good enough. So everything now they share in a shared homeroom. The materials go to both sets of students. You can see it's going to 2 sections. And the course image is going to be the same for both sets of students. If at any time you don't want that again, you could just always unlink them. And then you just have to recopy over the materials because it merged them together. All right, we are in our last 10 minutes. So let me look, because I want you guys to have the opportunity to start and end on time. We did actually look at analytics. We didn't look at getting all of our families connected. I'd love to do that. But I first, because of time, want to make sure I give you your exit ticket. We did cover joining your group, so that's done. All right, exit ticket. And the name of this PD session, why is it not in there? It's usually in the meeting details. It's on the calendar. I'm going to pull it for you because it says that you have to word it exactly as it appears on the calendar. So I'm going to pull that for you real quick. And then I'll hop back to questions. So it was PK to 6 Montessori teachers in Schoology PD session. So I'm going to copy that so you can just copy and paste it from the chat. I want to make sure you get contact hours for the right course. So that has been added. Caroline, thank you for answering that question. Yes, the Sandbox is just, it's a, a course that doesn't have any students added into it, and you just practice things in a Sandbox course. Yeah, Rashna, thank you for pointing that out. If you use a link, students can get any time, and you don't need to be in the meeting, so it's not a safe virtual space. So you have to use a nickname to make sure that they can't get in and out without you. Conferences, they can't get in without you, period. In Schoology conferences, they cannot get in without you, period. So what is the group access code for Montessori? I think I posted it, but looks like somebody else did. Thank you. You Montessori teachers are always so amazing to work with. You always pitch in and answer one another's questions. There's such a true feeling of community working with you guys. So I'm always so thrilled when I get a chance to work with you guys. Melissa, I'm glad you were here.
Rosemary, can I just ask a question about, and I think you might have, I'm just really confused about the nickname versus having a link, because I think in our mind, we are going to post our links like for the parents to get on Schoology, but now, and like actually like plan them ahead of time so we know all the kindergartners, these are the times you would get on and those would be your links. But now you're saying we can't do that, is that correct?
Well, yeah, but that has actually always been the case, so I really want to just be clear on that. Okay. I did make a template because it's not a safe space if students can get into a link by themselves. So I did make a template for how to use my class meeting on Google Meet. I'm going to actually copy that over to your Montessori resources now, so that'll be the first thing that goes in there. Just give me 1 second to put it on there. Is it CPS Montessori? I don't remember the name of the group. I just made it. There it is, Montessori Educators Group. I'm just adding that now, so you'll have that. But you can pull that into your course. And it is a template for guiding you.
Is we cannot make a link with our nickname like through calendar. You just have to form it every day. Like that, you just know to get on, and the kids will get on that way.
Well, so what I do is I use a template. So this is what I would post in my course, so my families know how to join my class meeting on Google Meet. If you want to use Google Meet to join the class meeting, and then do you see where I have the blue highlight for you to edit, just like the other content area templates? So you put your date and time of meeting, and then this says click on the image below to go to Google Meet. Then, do you see nickname? You put your custom nickname in your own template. That way, students and families are just launching that page. Students can join with the nickname. If you want to schedule a conference with parents, you can schedule that with a link as long as a parent is with them. But you can't have a child using a scheduled meeting link. Can't do that. So I did add this template for you just to construct that for you, so you don't have to communicate it every time. You can just post it in your course. I hope you find that helpful. If not, I do know we have more Google Meet sessions. I believe Megan Safko-Preslin hosted one of those a week or two ago. I can reach out to her and see if she has that recording. Stacy, the completion rules on analytics. Yeah, I've got a video on that with us having just a couple minutes left. I can add that for you. Give me 1 moment. I'm just pulling that link over for you. Sorry, my other screen is spinning. I do want to hit your questions. I do have to stop, like maybe just a couple minutes after 11:30. Let's see. Analytics reporting completion rules. Okay, copy that link. So here it's a 5-minute video. It shows you both analytics and completion rules. And then, as Erica pointed out, you can pause me. It is so difficult when we have a district-wide PD like this for me to select just one or two things to do. When I make a short agenda and go in depth, I get feedback that, I could have learned that more quickly, so I made the 5-minute videos. But then when I have a heavy agenda, it's too quick. It's very hard at the district level. In the weeks to come, I am working with Monisha House's clusters of schools and your principals. It will be a lot more customized and personalized. So we'll be able to slow it right down to what you need. Okay, adding some of the Google Slides using Bitmojis and links. I actually just released a video on that yesterday because it's been an overwhelming one, the Bitmoji Google Slides. I'll post that video here. You can create that on a Google slide and add it. Since we're short on time, anybody who wants to unmute, I only got to questions up to Andrea at 12:19. One homeroom has things in it and the other doesn't. Yeah, link to the one that has the content, Alexandra. Link to the one that has the content.
Rosemary Jane,
Yes.
I added my Bitmoji pages for the social justice and
beautiful.
for the Montessori libraries onto the page, but I can't set it up as a page. So I did the best, but I'm not sure if that works. So this is Robin. And then the next thing I wanted to know is, can I add courses that I would like to make my para the admin for only? Like I don't need to be in it. I just need to add the courses she's going to be solely responsible for teaching.
That is an area for you to use grading groups within the existing course. We don't want to flood our students' course drop-down menu with additional courses.
Okay.
Anytime we can co-administer, if you want that para to own an area of content and only work with her students, then I would suggest you have that para have a grading group folder, or create a grading group and give them a folder in your course. I do not, so if you wanted a sandbox just for you and she to work, that's fine. But if you want students in there, you should use your existing courses.
Rosemary, how can I go about getting a sandbox?
I'll give you that link now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The sandbox is a really helpful place for you to practice, but just remember, you can also always practice in a live course by just doing it unpublished. But we want to give you what you want. I do like having a sandbox because I like a place to play and practice. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a district parent. My oldest graduated and my youngest is coming to preschool this year. So I put my own kid in my courses and practice. Or you could make a sample account. But if you add your classes in your roster, that just gives them a whole lot of extra space to go and click. And they might have to click on courses, my courses, just to get to their content. And I know at SANS, I think SANS in particular, last year there was a lot of problems with kids having too many courses, like an 8-year-old having to go drop down menu, my courses, and find their course. It was difficult to navigate. So sandbox request. And so this is actually just the form to request any course be created. There are some limited cases where you should create a course and add students, but it's very limited. All right, it looks like I hit everything. I'll do open microphone and I'll do 4 more minutes. We'll stay till 12:35 if you want. If you don't, I so respect and value your time. I know a lot of you, this was your lunch. This was the only time, Melissa and I could find a comment that was open where we could maybe get people in. If you are a wit and wisdom teacher and you're in the session that has the full day agenda, please note, I did say on there that you should have been replacing one of your self-paced options with this session. No one is expecting you to get all of that done. That would be too much for a day. You're welcome, Rob. It's more than my pleasure. These targeted sessions with specific groups, I think, are a little more helpful because we can answer questions specific to your type of role. Sarah, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Please put any comments that you have on that feedback form. Please don't forget to do your exit ticket. Our department looks at that data, not only to determine what we're going to assign or what we'll schedule next for you, but also the effectiveness of the PD. So feel free to put in there what didn't work for you about my session, or if something did work. I'm just like anybody else in the world. The positive feedback does help me know, okay, I should keep doing this. Or if there's something I need to change, then please let me know. Nico, you're welcome. It's so nice to see you. And there were so many familiar names. I worked with so many Montessori teachers last year. You guys are
Rosemary?
awesome. Yeah.
It's Janine. Hey, I'm actually on my phone in a car because I had to run to Crayons to Computers. So can you send me the exit ticket like in a chat or something, please?
Yep, I'll do that for you as soon as we hang up. Yep, no problem. Where is it? There's the exit ticket. Okay. All right. So I have another session I have to start at 1, and I need a little time to set up in between each session. I wish I could stay on with you. If you teach wit and wisdom, so if you were in the wit and wisdom session, that's actually the session I'm going to next at 1 o'clock. And I'm there for open office hours. The question priority will be given to wit and wisdom questions. But if you have a question, you can hop in there, and I hope to be able to answer it. I'm sure we're going to get into the weeds a little more in my office hours section, but it's not office hours like where you just Google chat me a question and wait. I made it a live open office hours, so it will be sort of like this, where questions will be answered in the chat in the order they're received. So even if you just want to leave it on while you work on something else, you might hear something helpful. But also, too, everyone, please give yourself breaks today. Step away from the screen and stretch. You guys are working so hard to take good care of yourselves. All right, I'm going to end the recording. Thank you again for joining. You're welcome, Alexandra. Thank you. Thanks, Kimberly.